So kind of shifting gears, and we touched on it a little bit, about some of the myths of this generation of kids, right? So we've kind of alluded to it a little bit, about their behaviors, but what are some of those common myths that you hear? And are these new trends, or are these repeating? Kind of what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research. I'm a social work nerd and I embrace it. And I did a little bit of research, and not surprisingly, there's a lot of folks way smarter than me who have talked about these generational gaps and differences going back now 60 or 70 years. And so a lot of what stereotypes of this current young generation are the same exact stereotypes that were 20 years ago and 20 years before that and 20 years before that. So every generation thinks that the current generation has it easier than they ever had. That things are handed to them, that they're spoiled, they've gotten lazy, they've gotten weak, they're not prepared to live in the world that we live in. And really that I think it's that spare the rod, spoil the child,
Mm-hmm.
that iron fist approach. Every generation thinks that that's what the current generation needs, as much as we hated the generation above us thinking that about us. And that's empathy, right? We've lost
Yeah.
touch of the things that triggered our responses, and now we're imposing them. But here's the fact, and it's a bit of a sobering fact. Kids today are experiencing rates of depression and anxiety that no other generation have ever dealt with. Suicide rates for kids are increasing year after year, especially in populations that we always thought had some built-in resiliency, like adolescent girls. The lethality of adolescent girls is increasing year after year. This generation of kids absolutely has the cards stacked against them, more so than I think other generations ever would know. And it's easy to take for granted that this generation of youth have grown up with Facebook. They've grown up with smartphones. They've grown up with 24-hour news cycles. And the impact that all of those things have in a cumulative way on kids, you could fill novels with. And so we're working with a generation that's unlike any other generation previously, because of just the way the world has changed around them. And make no mistake, we'll be talking about the impacts of the coronavirus on kids for years to come.
Yeah.
We cannot rule out what this current pandemic is doing to kids, and we won't know for years to come, really.
Sure.
But I think it's what's important is, again, to step back and remember what it was like to be a kid, and what it was like to have your grandparents or your parents call you lazy or tell you to get off the couch and get a job, and our parents before that to get off the couch and get a haircut, and it just goes back so far. It's empathy.